Hi, and welcome everyone. Um, we are so happy to have you here today with our fabulous guest, Elaine Empalmado. I'm going to shortly introduce Elaine, but I just want to say welcome to everyone. I know everyone is just joining in. Um, we have today, Elaine, to talk about content that converts, building your community, growing your audience, and booking clients. Elaine is a content strategist and a founder of Content with Elaine, where she helps creators and service providers turn attention into revenue through intentional content and scalable backend systems. She specializes in building content to sale ecosystems that grow community, capture leads, and book clients, which is exactly what we're going to talk about today. Um, Powered in part by DM automation tools like Manychat that run at the core of her home business. She's going to show you some examples of how she's been doing it. Through her work, Elaine teaches audiences how to blend storytelling, strategy, and infrastructure to create sustainable growth without relying on constant posting. And I know like that's a big pain point for a lot of our community members. So hope you're all excited to listen what Elaine is about to share with us. So welcome back again, Elaine.
Thank you so much. It's amazing to be here today and to be able to teach everyone. And thank you so much, Kansu, for the amazing intro. I'm super excited for today. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, Kansu, if that's okay.
Yes, just maybe
I'm
one
s-
thing
Mhm.
before we get, I would love to like if everyone is listening, hearing us, like feel free to share what you've been taking away from this webinar with us and Elaine tagged. Would love to see your thoughts and impressions live. And with that, I'll hand it to Elaine to kick it off. I know we have a lot to cover.
Yes, of course. Thank you so much. Perfect. Okay, I'm so excited to teach you guys today about my content to client engine. And so before I start really quick, actually, I'm just going to go ahead and make sure that my sound is on too. Oh, it's not going to let me share the sound, but it's okay. So, what you'll be able to get from today is how to create content that attracts the right people and builds real trust. Okay, this is a system I realize, and one of the biggest things I notice about business owners and operators within content is we talk so much about what we're good at and not enough about our stories. And that's actually what's going to help you convert. Okay, so how to connect your content to systems that capture leads on autopilot, use stories plus freebies to grow your email list while you sleep, and build a many chat flow live from a comment to a booked call. For anyone who doesn't do discovery calls yet, you can still do it with maybe a booking link or your stand store, etc. So I'm going to tell you guys why your personal brand matters. And if no one knows what a personal brand is, let me explain it in 10 seconds. It's pretty much what makes your brand you. Yes, you have stuff that you're very good at, right? You have, for me, for example, I'm a content strategist, but I also have a story. Okay. And so let me show you the difference between when I tell my story and I'm open and vulnerable and compare it to my content where I actually share brand strategy tips or some sort of expertise reel, as I call it. So you can see here for personal storytelling, that's an average reach of 45,000 to 62,000. Okay, so peaks when the story is emotional or vulnerable. Then we have the expertise, tips, strategy content, averaging 8 to 19,000. And let me tell you, I used to be so obsessed with the numbers, and it's very easy to get obsessed with the numbers. But I will tell you that the expertise content will convert for you if done properly. And it's just a matter of fact that the personal brand stuff will always do well. The emotional content will always do well. But that's how people find you. And then we can convert them through our tips and our expertise reels. Now, you can also see from hook retention. My personal is 52 to 61% for, past the first 3 seconds. And then for expertise, it can be 28 to 39. So I also say that it's really good to start off with like the personal experience hook. So instead of just saying 5 things to grow on Instagram in 2026, we can say things like, I used to bartend a year and a half ago and started building a business through my phone for 2026. I and my, okay? That's kind of what's trending right now for 2026. So emotional hooks are hitting twice as hard. And then average engagement rate. If no one knows what engagement rate is, let me explain it really quick. You're going to take your average, or sorry, you're going to take your interactions. So if you go into your insights, you're going to go interactions, and you should see, you should see interactions, and that's actually the sum of your likes, your comments, your shares, and your saves. Okay. That divided by your average reach. That's what Instagram cares about. They want to know from how many people have watched your video, how many of those people actually interacted with your content. That's what matters the most. A great average reach for brands, if you want to do brand partnerships or anything like that, is about 5%. We have to understand Instagram is still the algorithm, and the algorithm is based off numbers. So we have to pay attention to that. I try to tell people don't pay too close attention to the numbers, but it does matter. Okay, just a little bit because it'll give you a better direction of where to go. So right now you can see personal storytelling, 9 to 14% engagement rate. This is where I get like my viral videos, my 6 figures, 100,000 view reels. Those are all from telling my story. And that's how people find me. I'll explain this more in a second. But going into expertise content, you have 2.5 to 4.8 engagement rate. Okay. Because some of my audience, they're here to watch me as I develop and I grow. The expertise content will not vibe with everyone. Sometimes they just like you as a person, but you don't need to be converting everyone. You just need to convert enough of them. It just needs to be seen by the right people. My community engages with my personal content 3 times more. If you are wanting to build that personal brand aspect of your business, this is an exercise that I make my clients do. Okay. So this is build a confidence list. So a confidence list is 10 to 15 things that you've achieved within your life that have helped you get to where you are today. Okay. So here's an example of mine. I talk about it a lot on my platform. I am sober now for the last 2 years. I had a rough childhood, quit to become a content creator, began making 5 figures after starting my business right away, turned my addictive personality into a tool for my business, lost my job, my apartment, and was dead broke 2 years ago. And I rebuilt my life from nothing. So these are little things where, you take the pain of your past or like the hardships that you've gone through and you don't hide them. If anything, the clients that I have signed love me even more for that. Okay. So they can see I was in a position where they could have been in the exact same position, right? So that I think is the best way to figure out how to build your personal brand. Write down those 10 to 15 things, plug them into chat if you want, and you can come up with content ideas like crazy. And yes, you don't need to, divulge your entire life story right away. It's very hard, but just start off with what you feel comfortable with. Now, I always tell my clients that we should have a few content pillars. And if we're in 2026, we don't necessarily need, um, to really box ourselves in. I'll give you an example. When I first started in content back in September of 2024, or June 2024, I was in the beverage scene because I was a bartender. So naturally, I went over to mocktails because I got sober and then I had seen that there was such a big non-alcoholic market that Toronto hadn't tapped into at the time. The US was very far ahead. And so I started making mocktail videos. But then I kind of boxed myself in. And in the beginning, no one wanted to save any of my stuff or even like engage with it. It wasn't until I started talking more about my story that I had my first viral video. I think it was 6.5 million views to this date. And so the founder story is one of my pillars now. Yes, I'm in content strategy. Yes, I do educational reels, FaceTime style videos, and I talk about the mindset of, creating content and, the mental blocks that you might have, whether that be from, low confidence, etc. But the founder story, I think, is always going to be the most impactful for your personal brand. So whether that be, you just quit your job or maybe you're unhappy with your 9 to 5, stuff like that, there's always a story. And that's where you want to tap into that confidence list. And also travel. So I moved from Toronto to Mexico in December. And so I talk about that a lot because it was a pretty big move for me. And it was also the result of making content, right? Not everybody can say that they've been able to do something like that. So you can notice from here that yes, I'm a brand strategist and that's my core focus, but I don't stay within the content strategy realm 24/7. And that's what I tell my clients. Please do everything else too. Don't feel like just because you're a personal trainer and you want to book clients that you can't talk about traveling. You can't talk about things outside of fitness. Yes, you have like, good diet and, workout plans and etc. But don't feel the need that you need to box yourselves in. So this is the content to client engine. So this is how I've structured my business in terms of my content to eventually capture leads. So going here, we have the follower pool, new and current followers. We have 3 pillars. So pillar 1 is going to be growth content. I'm going to go more in depth of each one, by the way, and teach you how to make these and how to structure your videos. But this is just the broad spectrum of things. So growth reel, top of funnel. A growth reel is going to be those short 10-second clips, 7-second clips that you see on Instagram. So this is designed as top of funnel. These are going to reach new people. It's going to stop the scroll and it's going to bring fresh eyes to your page. This is really good for profile visits, follows, and brand awareness. Then you have your second one, which is trust content. So basically storytelling content. It's going to build a relationship and relatability with your viewers or potential clients. And it's going to humanize your brand. Okay. And that's what you're going to get is warmth, loyalty, and higher retention. It's not going to perform all the time just as well view wise as growth content, but it will bring more relationship or more warmth and build that momentum for when they might want to actually end up booking with you eventually. And then also buying intent. So content sales. So this is going to be more of like, again, my, content tips. So this is going to move warm leads into action. It's going to be application clicks to book a call with you or, get your freebie, DM keyword triggers, and then your outputs are going to be lead magnet downloads and again, DM triggers. So all of this funnels through. Okay. So your growth content, I've had clients find me through this before. Again, just as an example, I posted a video very outside of my realm. I posted a video of my cat, okay, when I came to Playa del Carmen because my cat had never seen an apartment this big before. She had been so used to the little Toronto apartments. Later on, I had signed a girl into one of my group cohorts, and I was like, how did you, one day it came up, I was like, how did you find me? She found me through the cat video. Okay, so don't, again, that's just an example of post whatever you want. It's more focusing on the formats we want. So again, this all funnels into lead magnet downloads, DM keyword triggers, story replies, warm DMs, and then it's going to lead them off into either booking a discovery call or your sales page if you already have some sort of system set up through either Stand Store, your own website, etc. So here's the first one. We're going to go into growth reels, like those 10-second clips. I realized that it won't let me share my sound because I'm not the host, but we don't need the sound for today. It's totally fine. But this is an example of a 10-second clip, or I think it may be 7 seconds, 7 to 10 seconds long. And I'm going to explain to you that you want to think of it as your Super Bowl commercial.
Elaine,
Okay.
I
It's,
just, sorry to interrupt you. I just gave you host, right? So maybe recheck if you can give the
of
sound.
course, give me 1 second.
Thank you guys
No,
for
it's still
the
not.
patience.
It won't let me, but it's okay.
All right, but you do have captions, so should be hopefully
Should
okay
be
with
good.
everyone.
Yeah, so let me just dissect this video really quick. Oh my gosh. Okay, so this is my text hook in case you need a reminder of how fast life can change. Okay, and you can see this video is very fast paced. Now, you can see I've added timestamps. So this 10-second video kind of goes more in depth into like my journey from when I first started in like, my sobriety journey in January of 2024. And it goes deep into where I am now. So the text was, or the text hook was, you can see how life has changed so fast for me, right? And so it shows like timestamps. I find with growth reels, these 10-second clips, timestamps always do better, I find, because people can see that there is like a beginning and there's some anticipation building towards the end result. Okay, you can also do it with like before and afters, like POV videos. Like POV, you quit your job to take on content creating full time, that sort of thing. But it's more of like a before and after. There's a result that people are anticipating at the end. That's the biggest thing. Here is, I want you to think of growth reels as a Super Bowl commercial. Okay. This is a video. Again, you won't be able to hear the sound. So, what it pretty much is just the Kanye West Super Bowl commercial that he really did very low effort. And that's what growth reels are. They are so low effort. The one that I built that got 6.5 million views, I think I built that in 10, 15 minutes, but it also sat in my drafts for 2 weeks. I wasn't going to post it. And then when I did post it, it went crazy. And that's what you want to think of with growth reels. Because of the fact that you're going to be posting consistently if you aren't already, like 5 times a week, I always give my clients growth reels at least twice a week to lighten that workload, right? So growth reels, again, about 15, 20 minutes max. You could get faster at it. Sometimes I think when I first started, it was at half an hour when you're still trying to get used to editing. But these are the reels that are going to produce the most results. Kanye here had spent way too much money on the ad placement, for the Super Bowl commercial, and so literally all he did was he pulled up his phone and he started talking. And that is the same thing with growth reels. You take very little time to make it, and it's going to be seen by the most amount of people. And this is where the brand awareness comes from. It's short and sweet, seen by the most amount of people, and this is where you're going to grow your followers. But yes, they make really good numbers for you, but you have to nurture that audience. So now we have storytelling reels. Okay. This is an example of a storytelling reel that I have on my Instagram page. It's a pinned post. So that's the first thing people see. I always recommend people do something like this. And it goes more in depth into, how I started my business. I was a, makeup artist. I was a bartender. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I felt stuck. That's pretty much what this video is saying. And it's about a 30 to 45-second video. This one alone, I think is 45 seconds pushing a minute. I wouldn't go more than a minute for any video on Instagram, to be honest with you. But you can see here, I've done various settings in it. I've done a lot of B-roll. There's parts of it where I'm talking to the camera, and then parts of it where I just do voiceover, just so that you don't have so much pressure on yourself of like talking to the camera the whole time. Okay. And so here's the breakdown for the storytelling reel script breakdown. And I actually like to tell my clients that for storytelling reels, I first off don't rely on ChatGPT to build my scripts. I like to tell them to build it as if it's a journal entry. Okay. So you want to pretend that you're just, saying your feelings on a piece of paper. And then what you can do later on is you can start moving things around within that journal entry to basically create more of an engaging storytelling reel. So this is the main breakdown. Hook. So you have the hook here, the pain point, the solution, possible obstacles that you might have had to overcome while still, getting the solution down, and then tying it back. Okay, so the hook, for example, for this is a part of my story I don't usually share, but okay, so this is an example of a hook that you can implement within your journal entry after the fact, after you've written it. And then you have your pain point. A year ago, I was posting daily and still felt completely invisible. And then you can put your solution. Everything shifted when I stopped trying to go viral and started building a brand. And then obstacles. But no one saw the months where I wanted to quit every other week or the late nights editing. Because when you're giving people the solution, you want to also tell them like the real stuff that's going to be happening, the mental blocks that they might be feeling. Let them know that they're not alone, so that if they actually go and try to change their life the way that you did, or implement a solution that you have, they don't feel like, man, I am doing it wrong. Okay, you want to tell them and give them a little bit more confidence. Like this happens to everybody. And then you also want to tie it back. So I said, but isn't that the whole point? Creating something despite all obstacles because you believe in it that much. Isn't that what creates greatness? You want to basically tie it back to the viewer. I always like to say, you want to pretend that you are taking the camera and you're panning it over to the person watching the video. They want to feel spoken to. Okay. Now, when it comes to expertise videos, this is kind of like my bread and butter. I love expertise videos because, that's why we're here today. We want to convert, viewers. And so here is an example of video. Also, I don't smoke anymore, but this video did very well. I was doing this for the visual hook, guys, and it worked really, really well. But this video is going to show people how to, I believe it's to like the format that I'm basically showing you guys right now. It had really high saves, and I did get some clients from it. And so this is basically the script structure that I follow. So you have your hook, your credibility, your solution, and your call to action. Let me break this down for you. Why do I put credibility here? Okay. You want me to be honest? It's because I want to structure my videos where you want to position yourself as if no one has like they have no idea who you are. So when I'm watching a video and someone just goes out with their hook and says, "You need to do these 5 things, blah blah blah," and I'm like, "Why? Why should I listen to you?" Okay. So it's always best to sometimes get a little bit of like a before and after shot. So for me, I think what I've done is taken screenshots of like my views before I implemented strategy and then views after I implemented my strategy. So people can actually see physical results and they're more inclined to want to hear what you have to say. And also that you're going to get more follows that way because it's almost kind of like building trust. So after that, after the credibility, then you have your solution. So whether that be, I always like to say, try to do like a three-part system, if you will. So I always say like 3 things or 5 things, because it makes it a little bit more approachable for people, right? If you just start blurting tips left, right, and center, and like your video is getting a little bit long, you're going to start losing people. So I always like to break it down in a more approachable way of like, so here are 3 things that you can do. And then your call to action. I'll go more in depth about what a call to action actually is, but it's just basically getting your viewers to do a specific thing to get a specific result. Okay. So you can see here, the hook was, I mean this in the most brutally honest way possible. You can't lose weight if you eat like crap 5 days a week. Credibility. So here's the balanced diet that helped me lose 20 pounds without feeling hungry. Solution. Okay, part 1, more protein. Part 2, not cutting out carbs. Part 3, low sugar. And then the call to action, if you want my top 5 balanced recipes, comment now and I'll DM them to you. And that's where the Manychat comes in. Okay, guys, my whole business was ran and still is ran by Manychat. And I'm excited to show you guys a demo later on. But first off, let's get into the call to action. So, what is a call to action? So, it can warm your audience, helps you boost engagement. And why would it boost your engagement? So, I don't know if you guys have ever gotten that message from Instagram. Like I noticed like since the new updates that have been coming out over the last couple of months, it does say on the bottom if you've gotten like a little bit of like more than usual amount of comments in your Instagram video, it will say like a little light bulb and a tip that goes reply to your comments within the first, I think it's like 30 minutes or something, or like basically right away to increase engagement. It's just going to keep up the momentum of your video being shown to more people. And that's where Manychat comes in handy, right? Because it automatically replies to every comment if you set it up that way. It also builds authority, generates leads, and I'll teach you how to do that. Can pre-sell your programs or convert viewers into clients. So I plug this in to my cohorts all the time because I want to explain how you can use this piece of data to your advantage, right? So you can see, I think Instagram, when they did the update, they started including this now, like the graph underneath for retention. But before you could only do it in edits. So if it's not, if you're, because Instagram, sometimes some accounts have more updates than others. If you can't find this graph, you can find it in edits, which is Instagram's editing platform. So they have a little bit more insights over there for you to use, including this graph. But also on the Instagram app, you should see this underneath your insights as well, which is average watch time. So when it comes to call to actions, I found that I will get almost twice as much people commenting the trigger word for ManyChat, or like saving it, whatever the call to action is. I'm seeing more results when I put my call to action not at the end of the video, but actually somewhere around here. So this video is about 50 seconds long. So I put my call to actions now. I will do two of them. I'll do one somewhere around here. And that means like first 15 seconds. And what I'll do is like, for example, if my call to action is comment script for 10 templatized scripts that you can use for your next reel, right? It sounds really weird to say that in the middle of a video, right? All of a sudden I'm talking and I'm like my credibility and I'm like I've helped 100 women build their accounts, blah, blah, blah. And if you comment the word script, I'll send you the 10 templatized script. It sounds really out of place. And I actually used to do that because I use my account as a way to collect data and figure out strategy. So what I figured out is it sounds very out of place, but what you can do is you can put a text block over top of your head, right? Or like here in the middle, doesn't matter. But you want to put a text block right over your head. And what it can do is people are going to be able to see it regardless because they're already watching the video. So what I do now is I just say comment script for the 10 templatized scripts in like a little text box over my head. And it doesn't disrupt the dialogue at all. And I'll get twice as many people commenting the trigger word. Okay, so and you can also see just from here too. It's people are watching on average 24 seconds. So if you want to get as much people DMing the trigger word, would you not want it to be before the 24 seconds are up? Right? People unfortunately just have so much ADHD. And I always like to tell people, we gotta pretend that people are not going to watch your full video. So if you're looking for results, you want to try to get it before they fall off. And then now, story posts. I actually added this as an added bonus for today's session. This is a really good way to generate leads. Okay, so it's called a three-part story series. And over here we have the pain point. So the pain point is something that your current potential client is already struggling with. So you can see here, make it a little bit bigger. It says 18 months ago, had no idea how to make content. I tried a bunch of different formats and nothing seemed to stick. And I wish someone was there to show me what I was missing. Okay, so a lot of people can relate to that. Then you want to do story two. So this is the desire. And it's the month I gained 50,000 followers, I realized I didn't need to post more content tips or mocktail recipes. I needed to show people more about me. That was what was going to set me apart. Okay. And so that's post number two. Post number three is going to say, and I don't gatekeep. So here's a templatized script of my most recent storytelling reel that got me really great engagement. Just reply story and I'll send it to you. Okay. And what I recommend too, by the way, guys, is for just a quick tip. I personally make all three stories and then just save them. So I don't actually post them. I'll save them or I'll make them and then I'll save all of them at once. And then I'll post them in order because it doesn't look the greatest and you're not going to get as much engagement if you post, make one, post it. And then the second one takes you about like, I don't know, 4 or 5 minutes to make it. You want to post everything all at once. So make it, save it, and then post them in order. And then also don't forget to connect Manychat to it for that third post. And so here, if you guys want a screenshot, this is just an added bonus for you guys. This is how I build my flows from scratch for my stories. Okay, so you can see here, user replies to story. I can get their email from this. On average, I can get like anywhere between 60 to 100 emails if it's a really enticing three-part story series. And then this one will add a smart delay. So after they get that freebie, and then 2 hours goes by, it opens a conversation to a potential lead. Okay. And I will also explain more about this, but I'm going to add lead touch to the end and it'll make more sense once I do the demo. But if you guys want to screenshot this right over there, go right ahead. In 3, 2, 1, moving on. Okay. Now we're going to go here into the lead entry points. And let's say, for example, I'm going to basically break down how I go from the lead magnet over into the sales script. Okay. So as an example, here is a reel that did very well for me. So this one was the road to 17K because I made 17K my first month of business, and that was insane going from not that much money to all the way to there. So, in saying that, starting with the lead magnet, now we're going to move on to the freebie is delivered, right? Then you have your follow-up question. So, hey, just checking in to see if the link worked. And then it's going to wait about 20 seconds for the smart delay. And then it's going to say, just curious, what kind of content are you trying to make? I can see if I can give you a few pointers. So that's your follow-up question. And then it's going to go into a sales script. This isn't like a sales training per se, but what I will tell you is you want to pre-qualify your clients. Okay. And pre-qualifying because you do not want to waste your time. You can book calls left, right, and center with this method, right? But, and I used to make that mistake in the beginning, like you have to figure out, are they right for your program? What's the point on getting on a call with them if they're not the right person to work with, right? Whether they are they a lot of people sometimes don't understand coaching or services online. Sometimes they need an investment, right? We're not here working for free. So we want to ask a series of qualifying questions. And so here's mine, just as like a little sneak peek. So I basically go in, hey, like what kind of content are you trying to make? Or like what is it that you're struggling with? And then I also make sure to have like what are your top 2 to 3 goals for your business over the next 60 to 90 days? What are you struggling with the most right now? And then I also ask a soft financial qualifier. And I do this all in the DMs. So if I were to just hop on a call and then, they don't have the time or the means resources to make an investment, what was the point of me getting on the call with them, right? Well, time is money. Okay, guys. So we gotta make sure we're making it worthwhile. And I'm actually pretty good on time, to be honest with you, because now we can do this, but I will go into more of the DM script on how it looks from like in real, like a real DM back and forth with somebody who I did end up signing. Okay, guys, I have some extra time, so that means I can actually go way more in depth with this. So here we want to start from the very beginning. Okay, so I'm gonna teach you first of all how I even got here. So home tab, you're gonna click automation if anyone here has never made an automation before, you're going to click automation. You're going to see a bunch of like templates and stuff to choose from. But honestly, I build all of my flows from scratch because of the fact that my end goal is to like basically sign the clients. And I've seen through, I guess almost year of being in business of the various, I guess, roadblocks that I come across from people. And it has nothing to do with Manychat. It has everything to do with the way people reply or the way people live their lives. Okay. And what do I mean by that? It's like some people, and I'm guilty of it too. If you're scrolling through Instagram, sometimes people forget that they even commented the trigger word. Okay. And then they'll get lost in their DMs, and that's a potential client that you didn't sign because they forgot to click a button. So I've created more of like a foolproof system that you guys can copy after this call, which is awesome. So starting from the home page, you're going to click new automation. Okay. And then you're going to select start from scratch. So here you can do select a post, story reel, direct message. I just start with blank. And this is where you're going to end up. Okay. But for time reasons, what I will do is I am going to start from here. So you can see I selected a trigger, and the trigger was a system. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to refresh this. There you go. It wasn't letting me click. Okay, so you can see here, you can select what reel you want. I personally select specific post, and then I put system. Also, a quick tip to you guys, please don't use long words for these trigger words because it can be a pain in the rear to get all of these typos because Manychat won't be able to capture that. So sometimes what I do too is I'll go into ChatGPT and I'll ask him to generate about 10 or 5 or 10 common typos of a specific word. It's hard to mess up the word system though, so I just kept it as is. And then I do mess around sometimes with the random replies here. And then also, now we're going to start off. So the basis of this flow specifically is going to be to collect their emails and then give them the freebie and then also collect or possibly book them on a call. So I started off with the condition tag is email list. So if the tag is email list, that means I already have their email, right? So now it's just going to go straight into this message. Hey, it looks like you want to start treating your social media like a real business. Click below and I'll send you my content system. And then they have to click send me the link. Once that has been clicked, it's going to veer off into here. So here you go, happy creating, click here. And I have also included for this one, it was a Docs Google spreadsheet. Again, if you guys are making a freebie and it's on like Canva, you can't just download the PDF and put it in. It's got to be an actual link. So what I do is I have like a link here. For example, this is one of my freebies right now. And then also I do utilize Notion a lot because then you can generate a public view link and then they can actually save it into their workspace and it's free. Okay, so there's that. So they got the freebie. And next, I'm going to add a tag. Okay, so tag is freebie clicked because this doesn't, unfortunately, this doesn't go straight to a smart delay. So what I have to do is I have to tag and say freebie clicked. And then what it's going to do now is it's going to wait 1 hour. Once that 1 hour has passed and like that idea of that freebie has simmered in their brains, I kind of give them time to like generate questions if they might have them. Now I'm going to add another condition, and the tag is freebie clicked and tag isn't lead touched. Okay, because tag isn't lead touched, I put this here because if you notice, I add the tag. So anytime I put a follow-up question, I add this tag here so that they never get that question ever again. Because there's nothing more annoying than like, spamming somebody's DMs. I never want to do that for people. So what I do is after tag is freebie clicked and tag isn't lead touched, I've never spoken to them before, then they're going to get this message. And this is that opening message to potentially possibly book them on that call. Hey, I just wanted to reach out to see if you had any questions about content, about the content system. What's your business? I'm curious to see if I can give you any free pointers. So now I add the lead touched button. So again, they never get that message ever again. And then mark the conversation as closed. Don't forget to do that because sometimes if people, if they click this freebie, which has happened to me before, it can possibly trigger like the follow-up question like twice, however many times they went to revisit that freebie. So don't forget to mark the conversation as closed. Now, this is the second branch. I know this looks crazy, but it's going to make sense in a second. Okay. So this is the second branch. If tag is not email list, I'm going to collect their email. Okay. So, hey, super excited to share some more breakdowns like this in my weekly newsletter. Click the button below to get in here, then I can send you my freebie. So they'll click join newsletter. And then after that, it's going to say, sweet, what email should I add? How do you add this contact reply email thing? So what you're going to do is you're just going to collect data collection and then you're going to put your questions. Sweet, what email should I add? You're just going to put it right here and then put text, email, and then you're done. Okay. I'm going to delete that because that's basically a duplicate. And once I've done that, they've gotten that, they've inputted their email, I want to make sure that email actually goes somewhere. So I added a tag and that was for Kit. So that's the platform that I use for my newsletters and broadcasts and what have you. And then after that, after they get that email, it's going to give them the freebie right away. Amazing. Thank you. Look out for my emails where I send out new resources each week. Click below for my content system. Now they're going to get, again, that freebie. Okay. Now it's going to basically now just be the exact same copy of everything I just explained up top. So it's going to say freebie clicked, 1 hour, it's going to wait. Tag is freebie clicked, but hasn't been spoken to before, right? Then it's going to say that opening message followed by lead touched and mark conversation as closed. And down here, so these are basically, I guess, little subsections of each branch. There's only two branches, and these are subsections. So these subsections are for people who have forgotten to grab their link. They've commented the trigger word, but they forgot to click the link. So it's going to say wait 1 hour if they've never clicked that link. So tag isn't freebie clicked. Hey, just checking in. Looks like you didn't grab your link yet. Want me to resend it? Yes, please. Okay, here's the full breakdown. Happy creating. Then I insert the link here. Now it's going to wait 1 hour. And again, if I've never spoken to them before and the tag is freebie clicked, hey, I just wanted to reach out to see if you had any questions about content. What's your business? I'm curious to see if I can give you free pointers. It's literally the exact same. The only difference is this person forgot to click the link. And it's going to be the exact same for here, that second subsection as well. Okay, I know I couldn't build this with you guys like full out because this would have probably taken me like half an hour. But the beauty of this is you guys can duplicate it today. I'll make sure to put the link down below in the chat, or I think Manychat might also be sending it. I'm not sure, but you guys can duplicate this and then you can duplicate it for literally every reel you guys make going forward. That's the beauty of Manychat. And going back to here, just really quickly, I have 2 more minutes. So this is just like in real time what had happened. This person had gotten the freebie. And after that, I asked, this was my opening message. So Manychat actually sent this, okay, after that 1 hour mark. So I said, saw your page and liked your vibe. How's content creating going? She said, it's hard to find a way to be authentic and viral, I find. And you want to always like be human. So I want you guys to like, we're not just like copy and pasting from a script. Like you still want to talk to these people because these are still human beings. And you want to be able to, relate to them. And a lot of the times, people I talk to, they've been through what I've been through when it comes to the hardships of growing their page. So in saying that, honestly, it's more about the storytelling. And then she's like, yes, it's true. So we're going back and forth, but not too much. Okay. I said, are you trying to do this full time? And then I go in and I say, mind if I ask a couple questions to see where you're at with your content? I just want to see if I can point you in the right direction. She said, no, ask away. And that's when I go in and I added my, pre-qualifying questions. What's the biggest challenge you're facing right now when it comes to your page? What kind of content do you want to do? And in the next 60 to 90 days, what are the top 2 to 3 goals you want to hit with your brand? I'm going through these very fast, guys, just because I'm about to hit my mark. And so in saying that, there she answered, and I again related to her. I said, I understand it can be a little confusing. And then I went in with that soft financial qualifier. If you had, and you guys can use this, and if you did have a solid game plan laid out for it, like content, positioning, monetization, would you actually have the time and resources to run with it right now? Yes, I would. Sounds like we'd be a great fit. Could I get you on a call next Monday? Let me know what you think. And I booked her on a call and I ended up signing her. So that is pretty much exactly how I go and get leads through my stories and through my reels. And this is what I want you guys to leave with today. Your personal brand is the engine. Please don't forget that. I know you guys are amazing at what you do, but you're not going to get the people that want to work with you unless they feel like they already know you. We want to build trust. And then that trust converts to clients. And then number two, I want you to use those call to actions in Manychat to automate lead capture and turn every reel into a conversation. And number three, I want you to sell in your DMs. The system works when you follow it up with a script. So your homework, by the way, for tonight, guys, is going to be to start coming up with some qualifying questions for your own programs. And there you have it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Elaine. Like this was a really fast paced, but like full of information. Love that like some we have already some reactions going on. I have collected some questions already, but everyone please keep it coming. And if you can put it in the Q&A box, that would be much easier to monitor for us. The biggest like repeated question I saw is actually how to use AI in your content. Do you use ManyChat AI or also is there any other tool you're using?
In terms of AI, so I just started using Claude, and that actually does help me with. I used to use ChatGPT, but if you want my honest opinion, I can tell from a mile away when somebody uses ChatGPT with their content. Now, like we can see the little M's or just the way that the dialogue is going in the videos, the no fluff, like the questions and the answers, like question or they ask a question and they answer their own question. I can tell. But Claude has been very good in the sense of so what I'll do is I'll transcribe my videos using a video call a platform called Clip.to. And I think it's like $10 a month. Then I'll run it through Claude and I'll be like, this was a winning script for me. It generated a lot of leads, and I want to create that exact same result. So how can I structure this video now about like insert another topic that I'm really good at, whether that be storytelling, etc. And he can help you build another script using that winning format that already worked. And also, yes, somebody else said Claude is much better than ChatGPT. Agreed.
Yeah, I think it's like also kind of like your own authenticity that comes in. Like we can all generate stuff on different tools like ChatGPT, Claude, but we should all like review the content that goes out, and all of us at this point can spot it like mile away if that's just a copy paste. So I think that's overall a suggestion nowadays. We have a few
Mhm.
questions around your content. First of all, do you edit on camera or do it in app? Like maybe just a quick one here. Take.
Yeah, CapCut. I edit everything on CapCut and edit. So all of my growth reels I just spoke about, those 10-second clips, those I just make on edits because they already have like the trending audio on there, and I like to cut my clips to the beat of the song. Anything longer, so like my expertise in my storytelling content, that's all going to be on CapCut. And I don't go on crazy edits anymore like I used to. I try to minimize the amount of time it takes to edit a video to about 30 to 45 seconds or 30 to 45 minutes.
Awesome. Thank you. Another one on your content. What is your take on number of things to post per day? I know this is like always a discussion that's been going on, but maybe you can share what works for you and your current strategy. And
Yeah.
let's hear that.
So again, like I said, I always use my account because the algorithm and Instagram changes all the time. So I kind of use my account all the time as a way to experiment with different things. I find that the best amount of posts is about 5 times a week. I feel like my audience can tell when I'm just trying to get more content out, and it almost comes off a little bit more inauthentic. And then I get more stressed out because I feel like I have to post twice a day. So I just post 5 times a week. And then I post on my stories every day. And I do about maximum 3 to 5 stories.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. More on your content. So, how often do you create a new freebie to offer? This is a good one too, I think.
Yes. So I'm not going to lie. When I first started in I think with my business in June 2025, I was doing 3 a week, which was exhausting. Okay. And so I figured out now, or within the last couple of months, that the best thing to do is try to create like an evergreen freebie that can be inputted into different videos for different things. So for example, I just launched a 30-day freebie, or monetize your personal brand in 30 days freebie. And I put it in my link in bio. I also can plug it into literally my story posts, my reels, because it goes through various things like the storytelling reels and all that kind of stuff on how to make them. It goes through all of that. So why not just make like a really good freebie that people that you can keep using for a long time? But also too, I just created so many freebies over the span of my business that I just recycle the same ones. So like the storytelling one or the, scripting ones, I'll reuse it in like a month or two.
Yeah, I think that's like a great tip, especially even like taking parts of it and creating like a different one is usually like what we hear quite often. So, we highly encourage recycling content as
Yeah.
well. Love that tip. Thank you.
Mhm.
I also really like when you share about your like confidence list. There is a nice question about how do you talk about your personal story without sounding boastful or like full of yourself. I think we all might struggle a little bit in the beginning, like the cringe phase. Maybe some tips to go over that.
Yeah, of course. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like someone actually just saw a little question down there where someone was like, how did you go to 17K? I didn't want to talk about that. I'm not even gonna lie to you. The only reason why I decided to do that was because I saw other creators doing it and I was like, my mom even texted me. She said, Elaine, why did you have to say how much you made that first month? And I was like, just because I want people to see that that's actually a possibility, right? And so I don't like to like trauma dump, right? So not in every video will I say, I used to be an addict. So, you know what I mean? But over time, I've been doing this now for almost 2 years. It does get easier along the way. There's going to be that sort of, imposter syndrome. But when in the grand scheme of things, we have to think about it too, is you are helping somebody. My story of addiction helps people. People message me all the time. You're going to start getting messages like that the more open and vulnerable you are. And it reminds you of why you need to keep going.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. I see some questions just to answer this. We will share the recording as well as the link to the automation. So no worries on that. It's going to come through an email. You should have it in a few days. Back to questions, Sally.
Yeah.
Actually, a few good ones here that are still like continuous of the freebie or like your products that you're creating. I'll start with the freebie one. Why use a freebie lead magnet instead of a low-cost ticket product on the front end? Because freebies might not signal strong buyer intent, like attract lower quality leads.
If you want my honest opinion, and I still think this way, yes, I've thought about, launching my own lower ticket product, but there is, you have to think my content strategy realm, it's so saturated right now. And what's stopping them from buying with this person? There's just so many to go around. Like other people might buy the cheapest one that they can find, so I want to weed out that. I want to weed out the people that are just here for the price of the low ticket. And I immediately went into high ticket sale or high ticket coaching. So that's what I started with, and then I moved on to mid ticket. So just like to be transparent, my high ticket was around, I think, 1,200, and then my mid ticket was at about um what was it? No, what was it? I think it was like 700 something. So that to me beats having to make multiple reels in hopes that, connecting that like low ticket in hopes that I get maybe 10 $15 purchases, if you will. I just found a lot more I guess, conversion by talking to the people on phone and then selling them the mid ticket.
Yeah. I think that always opens up the way to like build up that relationship with your clients and really build that trust. Like no one will buy, like none of us probably here, or very few of us would invest $700,000 into something that we don't know anything about. So 100% with you on that. But another question to like follow up on the freebie is like, how did you come up with your winning offer then? That's kind of like the, I guess, secret formula. Like, what was your maybe analysis of like um, how your other products worked, and you decided on like what would be your like kind of highest ticket item.
How did I decide on it?
How did you like build that, and how did you decide like what kind of like goes into the yeah?
Into it.
I'm
Yeah.
rephrasing it here a little bit. So
Yeah, no
Nina,
problem.
if I'm rephrasing your question wrong, please feel free to
No,
correct me. But that
no, it's
that's
okay. It's okay.
let's do that.
So basically, oh, she said no, that was perfect. Perfect. So for me, how I figured it out, first off, like I said, I started off in mocktails. Like that's how I even realized that I should, create an offer was because people kept asking me, how did I edit my videos? That was the number one question because I used to film with two angles. Like it was very like cinematic vibes ahead of its time in that time 2 years ago. And so I would kept getting that question, and then I kept getting the question of how did you build your account so quickly? Because I think I got that 50,000 in 1 month. And then people were like, whoa, how did she grow so fast? I remember when you had, 1,300 followers when I first started following you. And so that's how I realized people needed help with editing and they also needed help with execution. So also, guys, those DM scripts that when you ask, like, what are you struggling with the most? That's also an amazing way to collect data. And a lot of the times it's consistency. They don't know what to post. They have trouble with editing. They don't know how to shoot themselves, right? So that's all stuff where I was like, okay, like this is how I'm going to build out my program. And so I started off, I think it was with like a 2 month, and then I eventually realized like over time, your offers will change. How what I offered in the very beginning, the price was raised now, but also it is now been perfected over time, just based off of the fact that I can see that people need 3 months with me to get genuine results and to learn everything. And then I release them into the wild and they spread their wings and fly.
Nice. Thank you.
No problem.
Um, we have a question actually. It came up also in the chat previously about brands, like, or if you are maybe like not willing to show off your face on camera that much. Do you work with any of your like customers maybe on that end? And what are your advice or like strategy that you might suggest if you are not very camera friendly, or like if you don't want to be at the front face of your account?
I'll be very honest because I've had clients who have said that, very rare, but it's happened. And I will, again, just from my own experience, when I started with mocktails, in the very beginning, I showed my face. And then I had very, very low confidence. The numbers weren't doing well. And so I decided to go faceless. So I think I did faceless for about a month. And my engagement, it was already bad. It dipped even more. You know what I mean? So I always say just try to start off small, even if you can just shoot the back of you, you know what I mean? Like I actually did like a silhouette looking video the other day and it did really well. But in all honesty, I do an exercise with my clients where I tell them to shoot themselves, shoot a story post in public. And it's kind of like working a muscle. And over time, it gets easier and easier. I would have never been able to shoot myself in public before. And so I try to tell them, shoot yourself in public at least once a week, and you're going to feel embarrassed. But I'm telling you right now, it will eventually go away. But if you can't just, I would still do voiceovers if you really can't show your face and tell your story as best you can.
Love. I think this also applies even if you are selling a product, right? Like if I'm selling scrunchies, still like showing your face would like still increase your engagement, even though like
100%.
you're not talking about your like personal brand, but
Mhm.
linking that personal brand would even amplify that, like your story with it,
100%.
right? Let's take one last question. I know we're almost at time. Um, one last mini chat question, actually. When do you advise connecting, like creating a mini chat automation with your stories?
How, like when? So I would actually say every Sunday is when I get the most engagement. I don't know what it is, maybe because people are always scrolling through their phones on Sundays. But I've, messed around with posting on Mondays or Tuesdays on the weekdays in the morning and then also on Sundays. And I notice my story posts get the most views on Sundays already. I got like 160 emails on a Sunday, just from posting that three-part story series.
Awesome. And do you do all your stories with an automation or you leave like some? Like, what's your balance?
I try to just do it once a week because I try to
Awesome.
also understand like stories are meant for building that relationship. You don't always want to be selling something on there. I leave that more into the reels. So just once a week on stories on Sundays and then throughout the week on my reels on my feed.
Perfect. That's Elaine's recipe, guys. So if you like to give it a try, feel free. I know we're just over time. Thank you so much, Elaine, for your time. Just want to
Thank
share
you.
one last thing before everyone goes. That we would love if you could share your thoughts in our survey. This will just pop up after the event is closed. And yeah, feel free to tag us and Elaine on our socials. We would love to like hear what your thoughts are from the event and see your impressions. This will really help us to bring guests like Elaine on our events. So thank you so much again, Elaine, for being here with us today. And I see a lot of ask and thank yous from your end. We will be sharing the recording and Elaine's template. Um, and yeah, I think that's for today from us.
Thank you so much, guys. I thank you so much. The turnout was amazing, and I really appreciate all the amazing questions you guys had.
Right. Thank you all again. See you on the next one. Have a nice rest of your days, evenings. Goodbye.
Bye.